guess what? It's October, and that means it's time for Drawlloween. Usually I would be doing Inktober, as I have done in many years past, but this year I know that Halloween is going to be a lot different for most of us. There's not going to be trick-or-treating or parties, or there shouldn't be at least. So to make up for the lack of festivities, I want my drawing challenge to be extra weenie. Halloweeny, that is. Now, I thought I was going to get really prepared in September. I started doing these thumbnails that you're seeing, and I had that video doing all the studies for the first piece, and that's about as far as I got. So on October 1st, I was starting out from scratch. Pretty much. I had a thumbnail and a rough sketch, which you can barely see on my very glowing iPad screen. I don't know why that happened. Again, I don't know how to light things, but you'll see throughout this video that I'm learning a little bit. Anyway, here's the sketch that I had started and the studies for things to place on the shelves in this drawing. My initial plan was to do all the sketching for this challenge digitally and then trace it into my Crescent Render sketchbook so that I could use markers and ink without worrying about it bleeding through the page. I went to trace my sketch into my sketchbook like I've done so many times before, but I had never tried it on the crescent paper, and I learned that whatever it is that keeps that crescent paper from bleeding with markers and ink also doesn't let light through very easily. So this was not going to work very well for a long-term method of getting my sketches into this book. But I did the best that I could with this particular sketch. And onto the coloring. One thing that's been bothering me about doing these challenge pieces every day is that I don't have the time to do color composition studies, and I have just been having a really hard time choosing my color palette. I've just kind of been trying to do it by instinct, which has always worked pretty well for me, but I also decided to do red line work for this whole challenge, so I have to take into account that red is going to be the darkest color. It's going to substitute blacks, so I have to keep everything else kind of pastel. I thought it might be fun to show my music selections on my iPad screen occasionally. I don't know, thought you guys might be interested. I'm always looking for music suggestions or just good ideas of things that I haven't heard in a while. And it's interesting to know what artists listen to while they work. It also might help you get a better idea of the passing of time, the real time that it took to make these pieces. So I learned that you can't leave ink in your converter for like 2 weeks while you're testing out a different color ink. I found out that this had completely dried up and I have no idea how to fix it, but it took me about 40 minutes and some tools that were meant for cleaning straws, and I got it to work. Hey, what's that going on there? Like a lighting issue? I used a lighted magnifier, and I guess that was what was blowing out that area right there. Luckily, I didn't keep it on the whole time. And there is the finished piece for day one. On to number 2, Creature from the Black Lagoon. I went with this idea that I had where the creature comes out of a bowl of soup, hence legume. This was another idea where the creature is growing out of a bean. And for this one, I didn't even try to refine the sketch. I just went from thumbnail to the piece of paper that I did the final piece on. I've done most of these in the morning before work, so I thought it might help to set a timer. I did 10 minutes for the sketch, 10 minutes for the marker work, and 10 minutes for inking. And it's done. I'm really happy with how this turned out for only 30 minutes. And on to day 3. For this one, I thought I would use washi tape to, outline the area where I was going to draw and give it a nice crisp edge. It ended up being kind of a waste of washi tape. I like the wobbly edges that I have on the other ones. This was also when I got fed up with the poor lighting in this room. So I started setting up lights all over the place and experimenting with shadow puppets until I figured out something that works better. So I decided that the story for this piece is it's about zombie juice, right? And I don't know what zombie juice is, but what if it was the newest health trend? You're getting that immortality out of juicing some zombies. So we got some social media influencer here, and she's juicing some zombies and just happily posing with her gut juice there. I realize now that there's not really any way of telling that zombie was a zombie before it got chopped up and juiced. It could just be a rotting dead person. This is maybe why I usually prefer to take more than 10 minutes to come up with a concept for a piece. So day 4 is when I was really pinched for time. So I made use of this little tiny spot in the corner of the page. And the idea was hair scare routine. And I had some really good ideas for this one, but I just didn't have the time. So I did this quick little Medusa. And I actually really love the way that she turned out. The whole thing took 20 minutes. Day 5, mad scientist needed in aisle 2. The first thing that I thought of was my husband and how he likes to combine foods that really shouldn't go together. He has this theory that things that are shaped the same should taste good together, like grapes and olives. Anyway, so this piece is based off of him. Introduced some paint pen into this one, and I really like how much that helped. It's very hard to get a good contrast and everything in such a small, quickly planned piece, so any little bit of help I can get is great. Here's the finished piece. So there are my first 5 pieces for Drawlloween. Thanks for watching!